This is what happens when the fourth turning meets fifth-generation warfare.
A commentator, international social media sensation, and former Navy intelligence veteran.
This is Human Events with your host, Jack Posobiec.
Christ is King.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Today we have a very special edition of Human Events Daily for you. We're here live in Washington, D.C. Today is October 30th, 2025. It is Mischief Night, as we used to call it in Philly. And look, we are here at General Flynn's New Media Summit. Today is all about independent media. It's all about disrupting the narrative. It's about getting the truth out. And we're so glad that Real America's Voice, Human Events Daily are able to be here and to be a part of this great summit, because we're meeting with people from all across the spectrum and, in fact, all across the world, even some folks who are joining us from Ukraine that are here, that have been on the front lines. They're going to tell us the truth and give us ground truth, including video, people who go to the front lines, people that go into even occupied areas to tell us what's actually going on behind those lines in ways that the mainstream media just will not do. This is the force multiplier. This is how you can be a truth aggregator, how you can actually get the facts, spread it out through using social media, using independent networks like Real America's Voice over the top, and then going and telling that story. So we're going to be here holding this summit, this meeting of the minds. James O'Keefe is here. Lara Logan is here. Ava Vlar is here. We've got an incredible lineup for you. So we're going to be having we're going to be showing that on Real America's Voice all throughout the day, but then also we are going to be doing a sit-down right now with General Flynn himself, my former director when I was a DIA intelligence analyst, a very young E5 petty officer, IS-2 Posobiec, when I went on my deployment to Guantanamo Bay, and he was three-star general director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, because this is what it's all about, the interplay between information and truth and policy. We've seen over the last 10 years the lies from the mainstream media, the lies from the intelligence community, and we're fighting them every single day. Yesterday, the revelations that came out about the FBI's Operation Arctic Frost, the targeting of TPUSA, the targeting even of MyPillow and their banks and Mike Lindell. This is the situation that we've been through. We were living through a version of the American Stasi. General Flynn came out, blew the whistle on it, and he paid a price for that. And he suffered for that. And he was attacked for that. And he was raked over the coals for that. But we're so glad that he's here to sit down with us today at Human Events Daily to be able to understand this, to sit down. Really excited to be here with General Flynn for yet another summit in Washington, D.C. General, thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely, Jack.
And thanks for sitting down. So tell us about what is the purpose and the goal of today's summit?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, I had a great conversation with a group of some of these podcasters who were just emerging, on the scene of what we have seen. And I'd call it the podcast presidency, because guys like you and others that have giant followings, and you're leading a message of essentially we've got to save America, right? I mean, I think the big picture, Jack, is everybody sees the threat that we are facing here internally to our country. And one of the big topics that we're going to talk about today is censorship. And how do we work together? So this is a means been going on for a couple of years. I now have an opportunity with the Gold Institute to organize this effort. We have over 200 essentially people that operate in the world of social media and podcasting, alternative media, independent media. We have over north of 75 million viewers for today's audience. And when you start talking about impressions, we have tens of billions of impressions from some of the types of people that are going to be in here. This is just a sort of an open forum, an initial stage to start organizing the independent media forces that we have. As a military guy, I'm just trying to say, okay, to move forward as a nation, how do we task organize? And frankly, one of the things that you'll hear me talk about today, Jack, is that President Trump is really in this, he's really taken on the institutions of government, certainly in the United States, not just overseas, but the institutions of government, and he's, kind of slashing them, to metaphorically say he's slashing and burning these institutions of government. And I think the rise of what we now know as fake news, right? People can define that however they want, but there's clearly there is a lot of untruth, misinformation, a lot of things out there. And what you have in this room behind me is a bunch of courageous entrepreneurs who have said, look, we want a voice, and we're going to have a voice. And one thing that I'll get off my dime here, there are people in here that have audiences of 75,000, and there's people in here with audiences of 5 million. The people that have 75,000, those are deeply loyal audiences because they stuck with that person. Some of it's regionally, but we certainly have global representation in here with people from Europe primarily and Eastern Europe as well. We have a Ukrainian woman. I won't mention her name now because I'd screw it up, but I'll introduce her here in a bit. She's got an audience of 3 or 4 million from Ukraine, and she's got an interesting view of the world. So part of this is not just to talk about the current situation, it's to talk about how do we organize better, because thank God that we have Elon Musk, and he opened up X, bought Twitter and turned it into X, and we have this great platform, which is great. But if that changes, and you just don't know, where else do you go? What are the battlefields of the future that we are going to have to operate on? And and as you know, you helped me, promote it. Boone Cutler, God rest his soul, he and I wrote the book on 5th generation warfare. And that's kind of where we're at. And that's where we're at. We're going to talk a little bit about that today.
Well, I think we should. And even before we get into that, I was going to say, though, just picking up what you were saying, that we've seen so much how in this town, and obviously you, in your past position as the director of the DIA, you've seen how the flow of information, and by the way, not just classified information, but the flow of public open source information